You wake up at 6:14 in the morning. You did not set an alarm. You walk to the kitchen, make a coffee, and sit by the window. Your phone buzzes once. $41 paid to you while you were sleeping. It didn't come from a boss, a side hustle, or a client. It came from the simple fact that you own things. You look at the version of yourself from a decade ago, the one who set 3 alarms and hated Mondays, and you realize you didn't necessarily get rich. You just hit a number. A very specific number that pays for your life so you don't have to trade your hours for it anymore. This is the story of how much money you actually need to never work again and why the journey there is usually invisible, misunderstood, and often lonely. The level of $10,000, the first spark. The journey starts when you are 24. You are standing on a used car lot, and a salesman in a polo shirt that is too small for him is calling you boss. He tries to show you the trucks with leather seats, but you stop at a 2013 gray Toyota Corolla with a dent on the bumper. You pay $9,400 in cash. That night, you sit at your kitchen table and do a math problem. If you invest $400 a month for 10 years, what happens? The number on the paper is so large you have to read it twice. You fold it and put it in a drawer. By the time you are 26, you have $10,000 in a boring dividend ETF. Most people your age would use that money for a vacation, a new phone, or a down payment on a car they can't afford. You keep the Corolla. At a 4% yield, that $10,000 pays you $400 a year. Your coworkers laugh when they see your brokerage app. One of them tells you, $400 a year? That's just one dinner. You say nothing. You know this is the first dollar in your life that wasn't traded for time. While he spends his week's pay on a watch he'll trade in next year, you click the reinvest button. You are no longer playing their game. The level of $50,000. The quiet shift. You are 29. You have $50,000 sitting in that same boring fund. It pays you $2,000 a year. You sit at your kitchen table on a Sunday morning and realize something. For the next year, every time you flip a light switch, every time you open the fridge, and every time you charge your phone, someone else is paying for it. Your shares are paying your utility bills. That weekend, you go to a family dinner. Your cousin announces he just leased a new BMW, and everyone claps for him. You order water and eat your steak in silence. On the drive home, your girlfriend asks if you're okay because you've been quiet. You don't tell her about your cousin's $900 a month lease or the $11,000 a year he's losing. You just hold her hand and feel something most people never feel. You feel ahead. At this stage, your car, that old Corolla, has become a social signal you didn't expect. A woman from accounting named Rachel sees you in the parking lot and asks if you're okay, offering a loan because we've all had hard years. You have nearly 6 figures in the bank, but you can't tell her. You realize that pity hurts more than mockery. You've become furniture in the office, safe, quiet, and gray. You aren't a threat to anyone's ego because to them, you look like you're losing. The level of $100,000. The danger zone. You hit $100,000. It pays you $4,000 a year, which covers a full year of groceries for one person. You walk through the grocery store with a quiet laugh because every item in your cart is being bought by your money, not your labor. But this is where the yield trap appears. A friend from college, Marcus, texts you about a stock yielding 12%. He tells you that you could triple your dividends overnight. You look at the chart and see the price has collapsed by 40%. You realize 12% isn't an opportunity. It's a warning. You stay with your boring 4% yield because the patient 4% outlasts the shiny 12% every single time. Marcus buys in. 6 months later, the dividend is cut and he loses 30% of his principal. You keep walking through the grocery store, buying eggs and coffee with money you didn't have to work for. The level of $250,000, to $50,000, the car that pays you. By age 35, you have $250,000. It pays you $10,000 a year. This number covers your car payment, your insurance, and your gas for the entire year. You realize this while sitting in traffic next to a man in a brand new Tesla. He is screaming into his phone, veins popping out of his neck. You can see it on his face. He cannot actually afford that car. His car owes him $800 a month for the next 4 years. Your car owes you nothing. In fact, your investments are paying for the very seat you're sitting in. You remember what your mother told you when you were 16? The richest people I know drive the cheapest cars. At $250,000, the math stops being theoretical. It starts paying for things you can touch and drive. You park in your driveway and sit in the car for a minute before going inside. You aren't in a hurry anymore. You haven't been in a hurry for a long time. The level of $500,000. The power of no. You hit $500,000. This is the famous floor of the 4% rule. It pays you $20,000 a year. In much of the country, that pays your rent or a mortgage, plus your groceries and utilities. You could quit tomorrow and not starve. You aren't rich, but you are optional. One Friday afternoon, your boss walks in sweating and tells you that you need to stay late. In the past, you would have said yes immediately out of fear. This time, you wait 3 seconds. You feel the power of the word no. You say yes anyway, but the yes is a choice now, not a reflex. You walk to your car at 9 p.m. and look at the empty parking lot. You think of your coworker who has a leased SUV and a second mortgage. He can never say no. $500,000 doesn't make you free, but it gives you the most expensive word in the English language. The great decoupling, you versus Ryan. Then the world shifts. You are 31, and a layoff sweep hits the office. You and your friend Ryan both get the email. Ryan has always looked like he was winning. He has the BMW, the nice apartment, and the social applause. But Ryan is one flat tire away from a disaster. You make the choice that guts your pride. You move back into your parents' house to protect your fund. You sell your motorcycle. People think you've failed. Ryan, meanwhile, keeps the apartment and the BMW by taking on more debt and grabbing a worse job in a panic. From the outside, Ryan looks like he's swimming. He isn't. He's drowning in a way nobody can see because looking like he's winning is the only game he knows. You take the humiliation instead of the debt. You realize your savings aren't just numbers. They are time. Because you have a cushion, you can afford to wait for the right job, not just the one that pays the rent due on Friday. The level of $1 million. The sound of silence. You are 41. You have $1 million. You don't feel different. Your apartment looks the same and your face in the mirror looks the same, but the number pays you $40,000 a year. You sit at your kitchen table and open a tax calculator. You type in $40,000 in qualified dividends. The screen shows one number, 0. Because of how the tax code is structured, the IRS takes nothing from your $40,000, while your friends with real jobs lose a third of their paycheck before it even hits their account. The next morning at work, your boss talks about quarterly goals. You nod and take notes. Nobody knows you could walk out the door on Monday, and your life wouldn't change. $1 million doesn't buy a yacht. $1 million buys silence. It's the silence of not needing anyone's permission anymore. Not your boss, not the government, and not your past. The level of $1,500,000. Owning your mornings. Finally, you reach $1.5 million. It pays you $60,000 a year. This is what the average American retiree actually spends, but you're getting it without selling a single share. The principal keeps growing and the dividends keep paying. You read a study saying Americans believe they need $1.46 million to retire comfortably. You realize you've already crossed the finish line. You sit at the window with your coffee. The street outside is busy with people in traffic, late for things, stressed about looking successful. You think back to that 24-year-old kid in the gray Corolla who decided to stop buying permission. You realize that most people don't buy cars. They buy permission to feel successful and to stop asking themselves who they are. By driving that Corolla for 10 years, you didn't just save money, you bought yourself. You open your laptop and write one email to your boss. You tell him you're done. You hit send. You don't feel anxious or scared. You feel the same way you did on that first Tuesday morning when $41 hit your account while you were sleeping. Calm, quiet, and sure. The invisible price. It took 15 years. It took being mocked, being pitied, and being invisible. You had to survive the levels of social status where people treat you differently based on the metal you arrive in. At level 1, $0 car, the world doesn't see you. At level 2, $1,500 car, the world sees you as a threat and locks its doors. At level 3, $8,000 car, you are furniture, unseen and safe. At level 5, $70,000 car, the valet respects the car, not you. At level 8, $500,000 car, the car is so loud it eats you, and you become invisible again as people photograph the machine and crop you out of the frame. You realize that the world was never looking at you. It was only ever reading the metal. Once you understood that, you stopped running a race for people who were never watching anyway. Ryan sits on your couch now. He's 34, but he looks 50. He asks you how you did it. He's $94,000 in debt across 3 cards and a lease. You tell him the truth. For 10 years, nobody noticed you were winning, and that is exactly why it worked. You didn't escape by being smarter or working harder than everyone else. You escaped by playing a harder game, a game with no scoreboard, where nobody claps for you, and where you have to decide what winning means all by yourself in the dark. The question was never, what should you drive? Or, how much is in the account? The question was, who are you? You finally answered it. Now you own your mornings forever. And the best part? Nobody even noticed. That isn't the tragedy. That's the whole point.